we get into step number 3, and that is intro to brands. And by doing this, we're getting super, super selective. We're looking at brands that check off all the boxes, that will be able to take advantage of your skill set. Your staff looks like the way they look like in that franchise model. You have a non-brick and mortar because you want to be up and running quicker. Just an example. You're looking for not just step of territory. You want it to be in your home market and really just stay there because that's where you have a lot of connections, and maybe you've already joined the Chamber of Commerce and things like that. With brands and with franchising, they each company will have their own way of going about due diligence. We assist in this area. These are weekly calls that we do for 30, 60 minutes or even more. And each brand process is going to be a little bit different. Some brands on the intro call will send you the franchise disclosure document, the FDD, which contains the franchise agreement on the first call. Others will send that to you on the second or third call. Some will have you speaking with franchisees sooner than later. It's a process. They want to make sure you're okay following a process, and each company's process is different. What I will say is that you'll get all the information needed. So on each call, there's going to be a theme. So to give you an example of a structure would be, first call is just a intro call. Let's just talk about high level. What does the brand do? They'll learn a little bit about you. What does the brand do? What is the typical role of a franchisee? And then if everything looks good, they'll answer some questions. They'll have some additional questions for you, kind of a two-way street, two-way interview. If you both feel like it's worth having a second call, then they may dive into the franchise disclosure document, financials, how to put together a pro forma. That may be a second call. Third call is territory management. Let's look at territories and or locations. If it's a brick and mortar, what is the availability, not the exact location, but the zip codes that this brand may work in, assuming it could work in all zip codes, or if it may work better in certain zip codes. Some brands will base their criteria on income, average household income. Others will base it purely on population. So each franchise brand will have a criteria. A fourth, going into FDD, specific questions, franchise disclosure document, going through that, outstanding questions, outstanding concerns. At this stage, third or fourth call, you're, again, based off of the brand, they may put together and give you pre-recorded calls for validation. This is the kind of the second part of due diligence. And they're going to go through maybe pre-recorded calls where existing franchisees will talk about their experiences. Maybe it was a live call that you couldn't make and they recorded. So other prospective candidates, franchisees, are going in asking questions about the brand, the role, the growth, the marketing, whatever the questions that come up. You'll have one-on-one calls. You'll have group live calls. There's going to be lots of options to really discuss with existing franchisees and ask them the $1 million question that I talk about over and over again, knowing what would you do it all over again. Sometimes things start off a little rough. There was a change in a marketing vendor, or the marketing was in-house and they brought it out of house. Whatever the case may be, you want to make sure the franchisor is taking care of the franchisees. There's a good culture, good relationship, and nothing is ever perfect. So if there ever was an issue or mistake, knowing that the franchisor was open to discussing that with you and just rectifying the issue, and just simply not just fixing issues, but working with franchisees, offering that support, not running the business for you. That's not what a franchise is, right? A franchise is a proven business model, but supporting you. So if you are having issues, going back to your coach or your point of contact and asking for help. Hey, I need some assistance. Where can we improve? And it may be so simple for the franchisor. They may be able to figure that out in 60 seconds, whereas you're just been looking at your P&L and realize, hold on a second, my costs are a little bit out of whack, or why am I paying for this? Or lead flow is great and we're not closing. We're closing at a 20% where it should be 40. Is it the salesperson that needs to get retrained? Is it the lead quality? Is it a combination? These are things to tackle. And the franchisor, you want them to be proactive. You're going to hear that from the franchisees via their feedback. So that is intro to the brands. I say, kind of rule of thumb, 2 calls at bare minimum you'll need with the brand to get a true understanding of what the brand does. Brand sells burgers, we get it, but what is the role? What's the idea on the financials and the investment, the item 7 range, the item 19 financial representation, getting just a better idea by the second call. Franchisors will have a process before inviting you to speak with the franchisees and validation. They obviously want you to go through and ask the questions and see if the fit's there before bringing on additional support like those franchisee calls.